Okay, so today I opened my email and I received a reminder from JD Power, which is Customer Satisfaction Research Group, and they're sending me a survey from Mitsubishi. So you will be absolutely correct in assuming that I am going to fill this out. The deadline is June 5th, and it's going to take me 35 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, and we'll see what this is all about. Okay, so I just finished the JD Power Reliability Service Survey, and it took me 28 minutes. So it is a very thorough survey. I learned a few things about myself from this survey.
Okay, it is time for take two. I already recorded a whole segment this morning after doing the JD Power service survey, and where I rated the vehicle reliability of my Mitsubishi Outlander. And doing that caused me to really stop and think about my satisfaction or dissatisfaction with the vehicle. So after 1 year, I think this would be the perfect time to sum up what I feel about the vehicle and why I have to reshoot this, because I actually got angry. So the first 5 minutes turned into a rant in the garage. Insert angry rant here. So as a consumer, I guess I'm going to have to enter phase 2 of my Get It Done initiative here, which is going to be contacting Mitsubishi Japan, skipping out, taking my dealer right out of the equation here. We do have a group with many of us, and we all have identical numbers. Canadian group here now. We're turning people away. We have so many. And they all have the same issue. It's not, it isn't 10 cars out of 100. It's 100 out of 100 cars. And what we're trying to figure out here is this a Mitsubishi initiative of poor software that doesn't need to be fixed, because then the cars have to come in every year and you pay $300 to $500 for a schedule, whatever it is, to get the battery smoothed and all this other stuff? I hope, Mitsubishi, that is not the case. But now I've gone for a 3-mile run, I've cleared my head, and I've broken down my thoughts into a succinct, linear, clear visage of why I'm angry and why I feel this way. So, about the vehicle itself, I have 0 complaints about the Outlander PHEV. I rated this vehicle on interior, exterior, ride, economics, comfort, noise, everything. I mean, this survey covered everything. And I scored the vehicle very highly, 8 or 9 in every category that came along. I have no dissatisfaction with my PHEV at all. I love it. It's a great vehicle. In terms of a plug-in hybrid, I think it is the only vehicle available in the North American market that satisfies the family niche. 4 people, maybe a pet. You want it for a daily commuter, but you want to be able to go to town once in a while as well. And you don't want to spend $80,000 to do so. It's the only vehicle that checks all those boxes. Where my dissatisfaction comes in from is my dealings in service. We have a known issue with the vehicle, and for the 2 guys that I muted on the channel last week, yes, we're still getting the 35 kilometers. However, I've got to drive at an unacceptable slow pace to hit that 35 kilometers. We change tires and we don't hit that 35 kilometers anymore. So it is a valid gripe. 1 year into ownership of this vehicle, we have a massive drop in quality in the amp hour range of the battery, which we weren't supposed to hit this level until 8 years to 10 years into owning the vehicle. So it's an actual issue. My issue with unsatisfaction comes from service. And if I break it down, I have to be completely honest, and I don't care whose feelings I hurt at this point. I feel I know more about this vehicle than the service guys at my dealership. They still have not provided me with a list of what they did to the vehicle back at the beginning of May. I've requested that. I have an open case. They have not contacted me in 20-some days. I don't know what's going on. There's a total lack of communication. Now, they've done some things above and beyond. They gave me a Service C, which I didn't ask for. But then they didn't make me pay for it. Great, that's great. I appreciate that. However, I feel my anger comes because I feel like I know more about this vehicle than they do. All the tests I've done, all the reading online. When I go in and the service manager says to me, and I asked him, do I bring this car to you with a depleted battery for this testing you're going to do, or full? And he says, I don't know. It's all new to me. That right there sums up the level of competency I have in the service. Now, I know the service manager is not the guy working on the car, but guess what? If you want to sell these vehicles, guys, you need to own it. You need to know everything there is to know about them. So is this a case of just incompetence, or is this a case of their hands are tied by a corporate entity from another country, Japan, Mitsubishi? I don't know. Or the third scenario, is this a case where it's a known issue that we've put into the vehicles so that a service requirement needs to be met every year, where guys come in and pay $300 to $500 for a self-smoothing, yada, yada, yada service to get their batteries back up to where they should be, and we don't really need that. It's a software-driven, it's a false entity that's been put in there. Now, I hope that's not the case, but hey, we have to look at this realistically. That could very well be the case. There are greedy entities all over this world that do things like that all the time. So let's bring up Volkswagen, the TDI diesel. Okay, there's a classic example right there of screwing the system. So anybody who's naive enough to say, hey, that would never happen, think again. I could come up with 10 scenarios. Canon printers, built right into the software. We have parts failure in the Canon software so that guys replace their printers after 2 years. This 10-year-old kid went online and figured out how to change the software and revive these printers. So it does happen. Now, am I saying Mitsubishi's doing that? Nope, I don't know that. But there is a possibility that this software issue has not been resolved in 5 years because of that. What else can I say? I don't know. My lack of communication with them on their end to me is what's driving my anger. So I've got to step it up here, and I've got to write a letter to corporate Japan. We already have a Canadian group which we've collected a lot of information from. I'm going to start compiling graphs and charts. We know already from just a cursory look that our state of charge for these batteries is twice as bad as Nissan Leafs were when they released a firmware update for their vehicles. Okay, so I've compared about 10 different vehicles now, not just my own. We're all at the same levels. We all have that same drop in amp hour. It's got the same curve. There are no outliers. We're all the same. So now I've got about 40 people in the group. We have collected the data. I just haven't had to go through it, which is the second portion of my anger, which is here I am on a Sunday going to go crunch numbers and write letters and things to Mitsubishi. I don't feel that I should have to do that. I feel that everything is being left to us consumers to track down, chase down, and beat them into submission saying, hey, fix our problem. Because they're not coming to us and saying, oh, so sorry, we're going to fix that for you. So that's where I'm at as of right now. I'm going to start amping things up, and I want it resolved. I'm planning on keeping this vehicle, but there is a resale issue there. There's also the issue of, can I recommend this vehicle to new buyers? No, I can't. Not at this point. Until this battery issue is resolved, guys, I do not recommend buying a PHEV. The other issue, again, I covered it in the last video a little bit, was the oil change issue. That's only part of it. Why does that issue make me angry? Because you've promoted a green product. You're making the company look like, hey, we've got the solution and we're on board with the environmental effects of driving, and we want to change the mindset, the industry. But then they do things like have an oil change schedule, which are only 5,000 miles or 8,000 kilometers, which the vehicle doesn't need. So you're saying one thing but doing another. I guess that's the other part that makes me angry. Everyone's coming out with plug-in hybrids right now. My wife needs a new vehicle in the next year, and I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what we're going to purchase. It's going to be a plug-in of some kind, but as of right now, I don't think it's going to be a Mitsubishi.